death of Nadab and Abihu. Aaron's sons Nadab and Abihu took their censers, put the fire in them, and added incense. They offered unauthorized fire before the Lord, contrary to his command. So the fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed them. They died before the Lord. Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord spoke of when he said, 'Among those who approach me, I will be proved holy. In the sight of all the people, I will be honored.'" Aaron remained silent. Moses summoned Mishael and Elzaphan, sons of Aaron's uncle Uzziel, and said to them, "Come here, carry your cousins outside the camp, away from the front of the sanctuary." So they came and carried him, still in their tunics, outside the camp, as Moses ordered them. Then Moses said to Aaron and his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, "Do not let your hair become unkempt, and do not tear your clothes, or you will die, and the Lord will be angry with the whole community. But your relatives, all the Israelites, may mourn for those the Lord has destroyed by fire. Do not leave the entrance to the tent of meeting, or you will die, because the Lord's anointing oil is on you." So they did as Moses said. Then the Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons are not to drink the wine or the fermented drink whenever you go into the tent of meeting, or you will die. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come, so that you can distinguish between the holy and the common, between the unclean and clean, and so you can teach the Israelites all the decrees the Lord has given them through Moses." Moses said to Aaron and his remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, "Take the grain offering left over from the food offerings prepared without yeast and presented to the Lord, and eat it beside this altar, for it is most holy. Eat it in the sanctuary area, because it is your share, and your sons share of the food offerings presented to the Lord, for so I have commanded. But you and your sons and your daughters may eat the breast that has waved and the thigh that was presented. Eat them in a ceremonial, clean place. They have been given to you and your children as your share of Israelites' fellowship offerings. The thigh that was presented and the breast that was waved must be brought with the fat portions of the food offerings to be waved before the Lord as a wave offering. This will be a perpetual share for you and your children, as the Lord commanded." When Moses inquired about the goat of the sin offering and found that it had been burnt up, he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons, and asked, "Why didn't you eat the sin offering in the sanctuary area? It is most holy. It was given to you to take away the guilt of the community by making atonement for them before the Lord. Since his blood was not taken into the holy place, you should have eaten the goat in the sanctuary area, as I commanded." Aaron replied to Moses, "Today they sacrificed their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, but such things as this have happened to me. Would the Lord have been pleased if I had eaten the sin offering today?" When Moses heard this, he was satisfied. Clean and unclean food. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Say to the Israelites, of all the animals that live on land, these are the ones you may eat. You may eat any animal that has a divided hoof and that chews the cud. So nothing that has if it doesn't have a divided hoof, you can't eat it. So things like I'll just leave it at that. There are some that only chew the cud, or only have a divided hoof. But you must not eat them. The camel, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is ceremonially unclean for you. The hyrax, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. The rabbit, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean to you. And the pig, though it has the divided hoof, does not chew the cud. It is unclean to you. You must not eat their meat or touch their carcasses, for they are unclean to you. Of all the creatures living in the water of the seas and the streams, you may eat any that have fins and scales. But all the creatures in the seas or the streams that do not have fins and scales, whether among all the swarming things or among all the other living creatures in the water, you are to regard as unclean. And since you are to regard them as unclean, you must not eat their meat. You must regard their carcasses as unclean. Anything living in the water that does not have fins and scales is to be regarded as unclean by you. These are the birds you are to regard as unclean and not eat because they are unclean: the eagle, the vulture, the black vulture, the red kite, or any black kite. I'm pretty sure that's a bat. Any kind of raven, the horned owl, the screeched owl, the gull, or any kind of hawk, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the stork, any kind of heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. Oh, I guess that wasn't a bat. All flying insects that walk on all fours are to be regarded as unclean by you. There are, however, some flying insects that walk on all fours that you may eat. Those that have jointed legs for hopping on the ground, of these you may eat. Of any kind of locust, katydid, cricket, or grasshopper. Wait, we can eat crickets and grasshoppers? That's crazy.
Yeah, bro.
That's awesome. I thought that was...
No, people do it.
Dude.
I seen people do it, bro.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they put them in the lollipops and stuff. I remember they started doing that to get the kids to eat them. I didn't know you could actually eat those. But all the other flying insects that have 4 legs, you are to regard as unclean. You will make yourselves unclean by these. Whoever touches these carcasses will be unclean till evening. Whoever picks up one of their carcasses must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean till evening. Every animal that does not have a divided hoof or does not chew the cud is unclean for you. Whoever touches the carcass of any of them will be unclean.
Not laying down.
Of all the animals that walk on all fours, those that walk on their paws are unclean for you. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean till evening. Anyone who picks up their carcasses must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean till evening. These animals are unclean for you. Of the animals that move along the ground, these are unclean for you: the weasel, the rat, any kind of great lizard, the gecko, the monitor lizard, the wall lizard, the skink, the chameleon, all those that move along the ground, these are unclean for you. Whoever touches them when they are dead will be unclean till evening. Or one of them dies and falls on something, that article, whatever its use, will be unclean. Whether it is made of wood, cloth, hide, or sackcloth, put it in water. It will be unclean till evening, and then it will be clean. If one of them falls into a clay pot, everything in it will be unclean, and you must break the pot. Any food you are allowed to eat that has come into contact with water from any such pot is unclean. If Any liquid that is drunk from any such a pot is unclean. Anything that one of their carcasses falls on becomes unclean. An oven or a cooking pot must be broken up. They are unclean, and you are to regard them as unclean. A spring, however, or a cistern, or a collecting water remains clean. But anyone who touches one of these carcasses is unclean. If carcass falls on any seed that are to be planted, they remain clean. But if water has been put on the seed and the carcass falls onto it, it is unclean for you. If the animal that you are allowed to eat dies, anyone who touches its carcass will be unclean till evening. Anyone who eats some of its carcass must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean till evening. Anyone who picks up the carcass must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean till evening. Every creature that moves along the ground is to be regarded as unclean. It is not to be eaten. You are not to eat any creature that moves along the ground, whether it moves on its belly or walks on all fours or on many feet. It is unclean. Do not defile yourselves by any of these creatures. Do not make yourselves unclean by means of them, or be made unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. Do not make yourselves unclean by any creature that moves along the ground. I am the Lord, who brought you up out of Egypt to be your God. Therefore be holy, because I am holy. These are the regulations concerning the animals, birds, every living thing that moves about in the water, and every creature that moves along the ground. You must distinguish between unclean and clean, between living creatures that may be eaten and those that may not be eaten. Purification after childbirth. The Lord says to Moses, say to the Israelites, a woman who becomes pregnant, gives birth to a son, will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days, just as she is unclean during her monthly period. On the 8th day, the boy is to be circumcised. Then the woman must wait 33 days to be purified from her bleeding. She must not touch anything sacred or go to the sanctuary until the days of her purification are over. If she gives birth to a daughter, for 2 weeks the woman shall be unclean, as during her period. Then she must wait 66 days to be purified from her bleeding. When the days of her purification for the son or daughter are over, she is to bring to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting a year-old lamb for the burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a dove for the sin offering. He shall offer them before the Lord to make atonement for her, and then she will be ceremonially clean from her flow of blood. These are the regulations for the woman who gives birth to a boy or a girl. But if she cannot afford a lamb, she is to bring 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a burnt offering and one for a sin offering. In this way the priest will make atonement for her, and she will be unclean. Regulations about defiling skin diseases. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when anyone has a swelling or a rash or a shiny spot on their skin that may be a defiling skin disease, they must be brought to Aaron, the priest, or to one of his sons, who is a priest. The priest is to examine the sore on the skin, and if the hair in the sore has turned white and the sore appears to be more than skin deep, it is a defiling skin disease. When the priest examines that person, he shall pronounce them ceremonially unclean. If the shiny spot on the skin is white but does not appear to be more than skin deep, then the hair in it has not turned white, the priest is to isolate the affected person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest is to examine them, and if he sees that the sore has unchanged and has not spread in the skin, he is to isolate them for another 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest is to examine them again, and if the sore has faded and has not spread in the skin, the priest shall pronounce them clean. It is only a rash. They must wash their clothes, they will be clean. But if the rash does spread in their skin after they have shown themselves to the priest to be pronounced clean, they must appear before the Lord again. The priest is to examine the person, and if the rash has spread in the skin, he shall pronounce them unclean. It is a defiling skin disease. When anyone has a defiling skin disease, they must be brought to the priest. The priest is to examine them, and if there is a white swelling in the skin that has turned the white hair, and there is a raw flesh in the swelling, it is a chronic skin disease, and the priest shall pronounce them unclean. He is not to isolate them because they are already unclean. If the disease breaks out all over the skin, and so far as the priest can see, it covers all the skin that's affected a person head to foot, the priest is to examine them, and if the disease has covered their whole body, he shall pronounce them unclean. It has all turned white. They are unclean, or they are clean. But whenever the raw flesh appears on them, they will be unclean. When the priest sees the raw flesh, he will pronounce them unclean. The raw flesh is clean. They have a defiling disease. If the raw flesh changes and turns white, they must go to the priest. The priest is to examine them, and if the sores have turned white, the priest shall pronounce the affected person clean. Then they will be clean. When someone has a boil on their skin and it heals, and in the place where the boil was, the white swelling or the reddish white spot appears, they must present themselves to the priest. The priest is to examine it, and if it appears to be more than skin deep, and the hair in it has turned white, the priest shall pronounce that person unclean. It is a defiling skin disease that has broken out where the boil was. But if, when the priest examines it, there is no white hair in it, and it is no more than skin deep in it, and has faded, then the priest is to isolate them for 7 days. If it is spreading in the skin, and the priest shall pronounce them unclean, it is a defiling disease. But if the spot is unchanged and has not spread, it is only a scar from the boil, and the priest shall pronounce them clean. When someone has a burn on their skin, and a reddish, whitish, or white spot appears in the flesh of the burn, the priest is to examine the spot, and if the hair in it has turned white, then it appears to be more than skin deep. If it is a defiling disease that has broken out in the burn, the priest shall pronounce them unclean. It is a defiling skin disease. But if the priest examined it, and there is no white hair in the spot, and if it is not more than a skin deep, and it has faded, then the priest is to isolate them for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest is to examine the person. If it is spreading in the skin, the priest shall pronounce them unclean. It is a defiling skin disease. If, however, the spot is unchanged and has not spread in the skin, but has faded, it is a swelling from the burn, and the priest shall pronounce them unclean. It is only a scar from the burn. If a man or a woman has a sore on their head or chin, the priest is to examine the sore, and if it appears to be more than a skin deep, and the hair in it is yellow and thin, the priest shall pronounce them unclean. It is a defiling skin disease. But on the head or chin. But if, when the priest examines the sore and it does not seem to be more than skin deep, and there is no black hair in it, and the priest is to isolate the affected person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest is to examine the sore, and if it has not spread, and there is not yellow hair in it, and it does not appear to be more than a skin deep, then the man or woman must shave themselves, except the affecting area. The priest is to keep them isolated another 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest is to examine the sore, and if it has not spread in the skin and appears to be no more than skin deep, the priest is to pronounce them clean. They must wash their clothes and they will be clean. But if the sore does spread in the skin after they are pronounced clean, the priest is to examine them, and if he finds that the sore has spread in the skin, he is not need to look for the yellow hair. If they are unclean, if however the sore is unchanged as far as the priest can see, and if the black hair has grown in it, and the affected person is healed, they are clean. The priest shall pronounce them clean. When the man or woman has white spots on the skin, the priest is to examine them, and if the spots are dull white, it is a harmless rash that has broken out on the skin. They are clean. A man who has lost his hair and is bald is clean. If he has lost his hair from the front of his scalp and has a bald forehead, he is clean. But if he has a reddish white sore on his bald head or forehead, it is a defiling disease breaking out on his head or forehead. The priest is to examine him, and if the swollen sore on his head or forehead is reddish white like a defiling skin disease, the man is diseased and is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him unclean because of the sore on his head. Anyone with such a defiling disease must wear torn clothes. Let their hair be unkept. Cover the lower part of their face and cry out, "Unclean, unclean." As long as they have the disease, they remain unclean. They must live alone. They must live outside the camp. Regulations about defiling molds, I'm gonna get to that tomorrow. I'm out of time. I'm making shorter videos because people don't really like the longer videos. So I will see you guys in the next video.